This video was created by VinylicPuma of VinylicPumaGaming.
Hey guys, so I'm back with another Fallout 4 theory video, and today I wanted to discuss the Far Harbor DLC with you guys. More specifically, what I think the canon ending to the events of Far Harbor ultimately are, and I also might touch on some of the future consequences of that specific ending. Now, it really should go without saying, but this video will contain massive spoilers for Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4's vanilla game, and the events of the Fallout 4 Far Harbor DLC. If you haven't completed everything I just listed, feel free to continue watching. However, do realize you might spoil the game for yourself. So last time, I discussed what I thought would be Fallout 4's canonical ending. That essentially was that you ultimately side with the Minutemen and take down the Institute with or without the Railroad's help. However, the events concluded that the Railroad and Minutemen would be on good terms, mostly because of the companions' likes and dislikes. For example, Piper, Nick, and Preston Garvey like it if you help the Minutemen, and McCready and Hancock, for example, like it when you join the Minutemen. Regardless, out of the four endings, that was the one I would have chose as the original canon ending for Fallout 4's vanilla game. However, Far Harbor actually has more than four endings, and you can achieve those endings under certain circumstances. As far as the factions that reside on the island of Far Harbor go, you can either choose to wipe out Far Harbor, wipe out the NUCLEUS, or you can choose to destroy both or leave both as they are. So that's just four resolutions right there. You will also have to choose between whether you want to leave Acadia alone, have Far Harbor attack Acadia, or you can use the Institute to reclaim the synths that are located at Acadia, or you can use the Brotherhood to kill all of the synths that are located at Acadia. On top of that, if you decide to leave Acadia alone, you can choose to ultimately side with Dima and replace High Confessor Tectus with the synth, or you can have Dima turn himself into the citizens of Far Harbor for punishment where they ultimately kill him. I will say, in terms of sheer choices of endings that are available to you, it is impressive that there are a lot of different possible outcomes for Far Harbor's ending. Like in our last video on Fallout 4's vanilla game, let's apply what we know about previous games in the franchise to the Far Harbor DLC. Now, generally, the canon endings for Fallout games are the least severe and overall good morality outcomes of the possible choices that are presented. For example, in Fallout 3, not putting FEV into Project Purity and destroying Raven Rock was ultimately the canonical ending for that game. For that reason, I also think that it's safe to say that the canon ending to New Vegas is to side with the NCR and drive the Legion out of the Mojave. Also, like I mentioned earlier, it's likely that Fallout 4's canon ending is to ultimately side with the Minutemen. Most of the in-game companions like the Minutemen and prefer it if you side with them. Many of your key companions like Preston Garvey, Piper, Nick, also dislike the Brotherhood of Steel and hate the Institute in particular. And speaking of companions, we did get a new companion with the Far Harbor DLC, and that is Old Longfellow. While most of Fallout 4's vanilla game companions, with the exception being Nick Valentine, are mostly neutral about the outcomes on Far Harbor, Old Longfellow definitely does have some likes and dislikes. Longfellow hates it when you join the Children of Adam. He's mostly neutral on Acadia, and while he doesn't completely agree with the natives of Far Harbor on everything, he does become hostile if you destroy Far Harbor. Because of that, I think it's safe to say that he wouldn't mind seeing the Children of Adam at the NUCLEUS being wiped out. As far as Acadia is concerned, Longfellow's likes and dislikes are somewhat mixed. He doesn't like helping to protect them from coursers. However, he does like revealing Jewel's identity to her, which is something that the other members of the synth community at Acadia would ultimately prefer that you not do. Still though, I think Longfellow's issues are mostly surrounding Dima and not necessarily the other synths that reside there. This is why Longfellow isn't as gung-ho as somebody like Alan Lee from Far Harbor to ultimately destroy Acadia. There's also the question of what would be the least severe ending to the Far Harbor DLC. Now, I think it's safe to say that you're not going to be destroying Far Harbor. I would also say it's unlikely that you will be destroying Acadia as well. So I think that rules out both the Brotherhood of Steel and Institute endings for Acadia. Keep in mind that Dima and Acadia don't want you to destroy Far Harbor, as it's a settlement that they control. After all, both the NPCs Brooks and Captain Avery are synths, and they were put there to ensure that synths can safely arrive and get to Acadia. If the Children of Adam were to control Far Harbor, the arriving synths would probably be killed on sight. Speaking of the Children of Adam, if we're following the least severe path, you can convince High Confessor Tectus to leave Far Harbor for good instead of killing him during the Reformation quest. As far as Acadia is concerned, Tectus is the real threat, as he is hell-bent on destroying Far Harbor. His predecessor, Martin, was less interested in doing so, and overall had a positive relationship with Dima, where High Confessor Tectus does not. Alternatively, the more severe option is to kill High Confessor Tectus and his guards, and then replace him with a synth. There's also Dima, who has proven that he is capable of atrocities himself, killing the real Captain Avery and replacing her with the synth, and acquiring nuclear launch codes to destroy the Children of Adam, and not to mention he also knows how to wipe out Far Harbor if they quote-unquote fall out of line with his goals. As I said earlier, you can kill Tectus and replace him with a synth also. That way, Dima is controlling not only the citizens of Far Harbor, but also the Children of Adam. And in my opinion, I think Dima is going to need to atone for his wrongdoings to Far Harbor. So with all of that in mind, here's what I think is the canonical ending. Acadia and Far Harbor will be preserved. The NUCLEUS and the Children of Adam's fate, however, is more uncertain and ambiguous. I would say that the general trend of members of Far Harbor and even Acadia is to neutralize the Children of Adam, whether that's through destroying the Children of Adam outright by detonating that nuclear bomb, or by removing Tectus from power. If we're going on the least severe of the two and trying to be the good guy in the game, it's safe to say that you will probably help the Children of Adam and ultimately remove Tectus from power when you're pressured to do so from Dima. And this would ultimately preserve the Children of Adam. However, that's only for a time. Now, that said, I think in the long run, if we ever return to this island in future Fallout games, the rest of the general island population from Far Harbor and Acadia may end up wiping out the Children of Adam years after the events of the Far Harbor DLC. The primary issue being that ideologically, Acadia and Far Harbor can coexist, while the Children of Adam cannot coexist with Acadia and Far Harbor. It's fair to say that Old Longfellow, Alan Lee, and really most of the citizenry of Far Harbor hate the Children of Adam, and the citizens of Acadia don't particularly like them either, especially under Tectus. I also think that Dima will ultimately have to broker peace with Far Harbor by sacrificing himself. He will need to atone for the atrocity that he has committed against Far Harbor by killing the real Captain Avery and replacing her with a synth, especially if Dima is true to his word and ultimately wants humans and synths to just simply get along. So now you may be asking, why not the Children of Adam ending? Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, this ending is quite severe. It ultimately concludes with you wiping out a bunch of mostly innocent people just because they're an affront to the children's religion. High Confessor Tectus is extremely authoritarian and ultimately wants everyone on Far Harbor to follow his way or be crushed under his boot. Really, the children on Far Harbor sort of remind me of the Enclave in that way. I suppose it's fitting that Zealot Richter, who was a former Enclave soldier, decided to join and was eventually indoctrinated by the cult under Tectus's command. That also leaves us with one more question. Why not the Brotherhood of Steel or Institute endings? So, like the Children of Adam ending, both of these endings are severe. The Brotherhood essentially massacre a bunch of synths just because they're deemed to be abominations. Instead of leaving the small colony alone, which is basically just like 10 to 30 people, the Brotherhood dispatches a strike team to go kill them all. Really, it's much like the Children of Adam ending for the settlement of Far Harbor, except instead of using religion to justify atrocities, the Brotherhood used their principles to do so. Really, the Institute ending is pretty similar to the Brotherhood ending in that it's not that much better. Instead of killing the synths, you ultimately are repurposing them and returning them to the Institute. Ultimately, what you are doing is you are killing the synth's identity by doing that. So much of who we are as people revolves around our ideas and thoughts and our own perception of reality as well as our identity. If you take that away from someone, what are we? We're just a bunch of flesh and bone, nothing more. While I suppose you could argue that they're not actually being killed, I would again say they're pretty much being killed because you are killing their identity. You're essentially killing who they are and how they identify with themselves. Anyway, guys, I think that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like and let me know what you think of this Far Harbor DLC theory. Do you like it? Do you not? Or could you see the Children of Adam, or maybe even the Brotherhood of Steel endings be canon? Let me know in the comments, but otherwise, again, take care and I'll see y'all next time.